Hi everyone, so I come with another tutorial today. For those that have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so, so that you don't miss out the videos that I'm going to be posting. So we quickly enter into business. Today we're solving question 8 from tutorial sheet 8. Alright, so the question says sketch the graphs of the following functions on the same axis as that of f of x, which is equal to the absolute value of x, and find the domain and the range. So basically these questions are simple and straightforward. I was supposed to solve these questions about 4 days ago, but because of time I had no time to do them. But I'm going to make sure that at least I do as many as I can today. So just make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that whatever that I upload you'll be able to watch. Alright, so we quickly enter into business. We begin. So the question is saying f of x is equal to x plus 2. F of x is equal to x plus 2. So what you need to understand is whenever you have the value of x being positive here, or let's say, let me just say this. If you are given the absolute value of x, or rather let me just use a number. If you have been given the absolute value of -1, your answer here will be +1. Same applies to the absolute value of 1. The answer will still be a +1. So what I trying to say in other ways, the absolute value of any function, of any given function, is going to be positive. So meaning if we are to sketch the graph of such, of maybe for instance y is equal to the absolute value of x, so the graph of this is going to come out as this. So y is equal to x is going to be this line going this side. But if we put maybe x to be negative, instead of x coming to the negative this side, it's going to go again to the positives. Why? Because there is no probability of you making there's no probability of us getting a negative answer. Even when we use, let's say for instance, x is equal to -1. If we put a -1 on x here, the value of y will still be positive. In other words, what I'm trying to say is when you have such an expression like this, maybe you have x. I just want to give a brief explanation on what we're going to start doing, so that even if I leave maybe some questions, you'll be able to solve them on your own. I'll just pick out complicated questions on this what's this question. So we have this the absolute value of x, or maybe we say y is equal to x. So when we say y is equal to x, the line, the graph will come out like this. It will come out like this. Bam. That's how it will come out. But because we have the absolute value symbols, instead of it protruding to the negatives this side, it will bounce and then begins to go again to the positives like that. Yes. So this is how basically the graphs are going to be coming out. So the only way in which you can have a graph which is going to the negatives is when you have x outside there. When you have a negative outside there. So when you have a negative, your graph will be a little bit different. It will go down. Anyway, let me just begin to solve the questions. You will meet questions, I'm sure, with such equations. Alright, so we begin. So f of x is equal to x plus 2. So first of all, you get what is in the absolute value brackets there, you equate it to 0. Say x is equal to x plus 2 is equal to 0. X plus 2 is equal to 0. You equate them to 0 like that. And then x plus 2 is equal to 0. You find the value of x. So the value of x will be negative 2. So this negative 2 will just be our starting point. Yes, it's just going to be our starting point. So if we are to draw the graph, it's going to be like this. Yes, so this one, you make sure that you draw your XY plane properly. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. Then I'll draw my 0 there. Then I have my, according to this question, I can write 1, write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have to the negatives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then this side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, so this is how you draw, this is how basically you draw your graph. So we all know how to draw the graph. Alright, so this is what I said. You first equate what is in the absolute value brackets to 0. Yeah, so once you equate that to 0, you are going to have this. So it's going to start from, so this negative 2 is basically one of the coordinates where we are going to where our graph is going to meet the x-axis, or where it's going, where in short the graph is going to be turning from. So if we had a number this side, if we had any number this side a, I'll say it's a, we would have said our graph is going to turn at the point called negative 2 comma a. Yes, but in this case we don't have anything there. So what this means is that there is a 0 there. It means that there is a 0. So what we have here also is a 0. Alright, so basically this is where our graph is going to turn from. Yeah, it's going to turn at this point negative 2 comma 0, and then it's going to turn at negative 2 comma 0. Yeah, so this is the point where it's going to turn from. It's going to turn at negative 2 comma 0, which is this point here. Now where is it going to cut the x-axis from? I mean the y-axis from. So this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. Where is it going to cut it from? You put, so in the y-axis we know to say the value of x is equal to 0. So you put 0 where there is x there. You're going to have f of x being equal to 2. So it's going to pass at 2 to this point there. So meaning this line is going to come like this to pass at 2 and go this side, and then it will, instead of proceeding going this side, it is going to bounce and begin to go this to the positives. Yeah, so this is how you are going to sketch your graph. You even name it to say f of x is equal to the absolute value of x plus 2, absolute value of x plus 2. So basically this is how you are going to, this is how your graph is going to come out. This is how it's going to look. Now how do you find the domain and the range? You've been told to find the domain and the range at the same time. So the domain is just the values of x, rather the inputs, the values of x that you are going to be, that are qualified to be put here. So which values of x are those? So the domain here, we can see to say we can put any number at x, we can put any negative number and any positive number, and we cannot find any any undefined solution there. We can put any negative or positive number there. Yeah, and and we're going to have our solution. So the domain will simply just be equal to from negative infinity up to positive infinity, like that. And then when we talk about the range is just simply the inputs and the outputs. So the range is just the outputs, the set of outputs, the y values. So now, how do you find the y values? How? So the way you find the y values is simple. So the y values, you actually start from this point. You can see here our value of y is 0. Yeah, so our value of y is 0. So our value of y is 0 that we have here. The lowest value of y that we have is 0. So meaning I'm going to put 0 there. And then we can see to say from 0 we're moving up to positive infinity, going up. This graph, our graph is moving, going up like that to positive infinity. So meaning our range is just going to be from 0 to positive infinity. So basically this is how you do your sketching. This is how you sketch the graphs of such equations. Alright, let's quickly move on to the next question. So I've solved this first question, and then you can see to say this question is almost the same as this. The only difference is the turning point of this sketch, the curve, the line that we're drawing here. That's the only difference. This curve is going, this second one, B, is going to turn at the point when you equate 2x plus 3 to 0. So when you get 2x plus 3 to 0, you find your value of x to be negative 3 over 2. So it's going to turn at negative 3 over 2 comma 0. We don't have anything this side, so meaning it's going to turn at negative 3 over 2 comma 0. Alright, so we quickly move on to the next question. So ignore this, kindly just ignore this, or let me just remove it. Alright, so let's begin to solve the next question. So we have solved A and B. The way I solved A is the way you solve B. They are similar, the only difference is what is inside the absolute value symbols. And then we look at also this one, which is C. So C is also simple. We've been taught to sketch and not to draw the graph. So there is a difference between drawing the graph and sketching the graph. So if we have been taught to draw the graph, we would have been using these tables. So these tables are called the tables of values, where you put your x there and your y there, so that you just come up with the exact points that you are going to plot on the graph. But since we've been taught to sketch, there's no need of you finding the table of values. So let us quickly move on to this question. So this question is saying f of x is 1 over 3 times the absolute value of 4 minus 3x plus 3. How do you sketch this equation? So first of all, like I said, you equate what is in the brackets there to 0. So we have 4 minus 3x, you equate this to 0, and then your x is just going to be equal to 4 over 3. 4 over 3 is going to be your value of x. So 4 over 3 is going to be the value of x. And then what is going to be the value of y? Remember what I said, you just get this point. So the value of y at the point where our curve is going to be turning is so the value of y is going to be equal to 3. But again, kindly note there is a negative in front of this x. So whether there is a negative or a positive, the graph will still come out the same, will still face up, because when we find the absolute value of negative 3x, the absolute value of this will just give you 3x, which is just the same as the absolute value of 3x. So this is just a simple mathematical language. So the absolute value of negative 3x is just the same as 3x, which is just the same as the absolute value of 3x. Alright, so we have found our point where our graph is going to be turning. So it's going to turn at 4 over 3, so 4 over 3, our approximate to be somewhere there. Sorry, 4 over 3 is something like 1.3. It goes like that. So 1.3 is somewhere there, sorry. Yeah, so 1.3, I'll just say it's somewhere there. So 1.3 comma our y value is going to be 3, so 1.3 comma 3. Yes, and then where is it going to cut the y-axis from? It's going to cut it at when you replace x with 0. We know to say in the y-axis the value of x is equal to 0. So when you put 0 where there is x there, you're going to have, so in short, you find f of 0 using that same function. You put 0 there, so we're going to have 1 over 3. Then when you put 0 where there is x, negative 3 times 0, it will be 0 plus, plus 4 there, you get 4. So we're going to have 4 times 1 over 3, we still get 4 over 3, and then plus these 3 outside. So when you add this, it's going to give you something like, this is 9 plus 4, you get 9 plus 4, you get 13 over 3. So 13 over 3, 13 over 3. So 13 over 3 is just the same as so 13 over 3 is just the same as 4.3, somewhere there. Just the same as 4.3. So we're just doing approximation. So this is just the same as 4.3, and then so this is going to cut the x-axis at the point which is 13 over 3. The y-axis is going to cut the y-axis at the point 4.3. So I'll to pass somewhere there, go up, and then it will also go with the same slope this side. So this is how basically you do your sketching. It is very simple, you don't need to stress when sketching such equations. Let us quickly move on to the next question, which is I think the last question we're going to do. Okay, so we move on to the next question. So our next question is this one. So this one, let me do this one and then we go back to this one. Let me do this one quickly. Oh, I forgot to find the domain and the range for this one. So the domain and the range, before I proceed, so the domain is just going to be, it was somewhere at 1 point something comma 3, so it was like this. So this is how it came out. So the domain for this function will be from negative infinity to positive infinity. Why do I say so? It's because I'm finding the domain for this function. So why is it from negative infinity to positive infinity? It's because we can put any value of x there and still find the answer, which is a real number. And then what of the range? So the range there will now start from this number, which is positive 3, up to where? Going up to positive infinity. So our range will start from 3 going to positive infinity. So that is how basically you find your domain and the range for that equation. Alright, so let's quickly proceed to the next question. So our next question is simple, it's this one. So once I solve this one, then I've finished all the questions, except I'm going to solve this one as well. So I'll solve this one and this one. Once I solve this one, it means that I've also solved that one. There is no difference. The only difference is that the only difference I can see here, I think they have just switched the what's this, what is in the absolute value symbols there. Okay, so here we have f of x being equal to 3x. Yeah, so f of x being equal to 3x, how do you sketch this equation? So simple. You equate what is in the absolute value symbols there to 0. So once you equate that to 0, you're going to have your x, first you're going to have your 3x being equal to 0, and then your x, when you divide both sides by 3, you get your x being equal to 0. So meaning the turning point of our line is going to be 0, 0. So 0, 0, and then it's going to have the gradient of 3. It's going to have the gradient of 3. So meaning it's just going to be like this. We're sketching, remember we're not drawing. So now after doing this, you can now find the domain and the range. So the domain will still be from negative infinity to positive infinity. So the domain will be from negative infinity to positive infinity. Yes, and then the range, so the range will start from 0. The range will start from 0 to positive infinity. Our range will start from 0 going up. Yeah, so this is basically what you ought to do. This is what you're supposed to do on this question. Okay, we proceed to the last question. So the last question, you pay particular attention. On this question, most people get it wrong, so make sure that at least you get something. So what you do here, you have to draw this and that graph separately. So first of all, we're going to start by drawing the graph for this one. So how do we draw the graph for this one? It's going to be 3x. Yeah, so it's going to be 3x. It's going to be 3x, then minus 1, sorry, it's plus 1. You equate this to 0. So your value of x will be nothing but equal to 1 over 3. Yeah, it's going to be a negative. So our turning point for this curve is going to be negative 1 over 3, 0. So it's going to be negative 1 over 3, which is just somewhere at this point. I'll just approximate it, see, this point. Yeah, sorry. So I'm going to just approximate it to be this point because we've been taught to sketch and not to draw. Then it's going to cut the y-axis at alright, let me just do the sketching first. It's going to be like that. Okay, and we also draw this other one, which is going to be at 2. So you equate this to x minus 3 to 0. So when you equate this to 0, you're going to have your value of x to be equal to 3 over 2, which is about 1.5 somewhere there. So it will be somewhere there. So it's going to turn from there, and then it's going to cut the x-axis, I mean the y-axis at wait, it's going to cut the x-axis. Alright, so it's going to be like this. It's going to cut the x-axis at positive 3. So this one, despite it being negative, since there are absolute value symbols there, they will make that negative 3 to be positive. So it's going to cut the y-axis at positive 3, like that. So this is how basically your curve is going to come out like. So what you do is you draw dotted lines from this point meeting the other graph there. Even this side you draw meeting the other graph there. So where these 2 points meet, you are going to draw a line. Okay, what I'll do is, let me just change the color of this. Okay, so, oh sorry, blue will not be seen. Let me just use white. Okay, ink. Alright, so at these 2 points you draw a line joining the 2 points, and then how do you know the gradient of the lines that you have? You work out this solution. You say 3x, so you say 3x, this 3x here minus 2x, you are going to have x, meaning the gradient of the lines that you are going to draw will be x. So 3x minus 2x, you get, it's not always minus. When there's a plus there, you add them. So here we're subtracting because there's a minus there. 3x minus 2x, you get x. So once you get x, you draw two lines with the gradient which is equal to x. Now since we're sketching, we're not drawing, you don't have to stress, just draw any 2 lines like that. And then these 2 lines, you give them the gradient. You can even say maybe m is equal to x, or m is equal to 1, sorry, not x. So m is equal to 1, and then you draw, then you say f of x, or if you want, there's no need of you even putting this. What is important is for you just to write the whole expression here, the curve, the absolute value of 3x plus 1, then you write the whole expression, the absolute value of 2x, yeah, minus 3. Write it like that. So this is the graph. This part is the graph that you are looking for, not these 2 parts. So thank you very much for watching today's tutorial videos. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure that you subscribe so that even the next video that I'm going to post, you'll be able to access it. Alright, see you next time in the next tutorial video. Shalom, shalom.